The news of my father's death arrived quietly, a stark contrast to the vibrant life he led. It was a moment suspended in time, a breath held captive. A whisper over a crackling phone line from our village, a sound that carried the weight of generations and the sorrow of a community. The message, though simple, echoed with a finality that resonated deep within my soul. The world outside continued as usual, oblivious to the seismic shift that had just occurred in my personal universe. Cars honked, people rushed by, their lives untouched by the grief that now consumed me. But inside, a profound silence settled over me, a stillness that mirrored the absence of his voice, his laughter, his very being. The world had lost a light, and I was left standing in the shadows. It wasn't just the absence of sound, the lack of background noise, or the hum of the city. It was a heavy, suffocating presence, a void that threatened to swallow me whole. It was the silence of a life unfinished, of stories untold, of a future unlived. My father, whose laughter once filled our lives, echoing through the walls of our home and the corridors of our memories, was gone, leaving behind an emptiness that no sound could ever fill. My siblings and I, scattered across continents, each living our own lives under different skies, called each other, our voices thick with grief, the shared sorrow binding us together across the miles. The distance felt both vast and insignificant in the face of this shared pain. The usual teasing was gone, the playful banter replaced by a somber understanding of the gravity of our loss. Replaced by halting words and long pauses, each silence filled with unspoken grief and the weight of memories. We struggled to find the right words, knowing that none could truly capture the depth of our sorrow. We struggled to grasp the enormity of our loss, the realization that a fundamental part of our family, our history, was now gone forever. The great Iroko tree of our family had fallen, its mighty branches no longer reaching towards the sky, its shade no longer sheltering us from the storms of life. And suddenly, we were the elders, the keepers of the flame, tasked with carrying on his legacy and guiding the next generation. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on our shoulders. In our village, death is communal, a shared experience that binds everyone together in grief and remembrance. A tear in the fabric everyone feels, a loss that resonates through the entire community, uniting them in sorrow and solidarity. The silence in my city apartment, a sterile and isolating quiet, contrasted sharply with the activity I knew was beginning back home, the preparations for the funeral, the gathering of family and friends, the communal mourning that would soon engulf the village. Aunties would gather, their voices weaving a tapestry of condolences and shared memories. Uncles would make plans, organizing the ceremonies and ensuring that everything was done according to tradition, and the village would prepare for the rituals to come, the ancient customs that would guide us through our grief and honor the life of our father. The loss was deeply ours, a personal tragedy that would forever alter the landscape of our lives. But the mourning would belong to everyone, a shared burden that would be carried by the entire community. We packed our bags, each item carefully chosen, each fold a silent prayer, booking flights, navigating the logistics of travel while our hearts ached with sorrow. Moving toward the place where it all began, the land of our ancestors, the heart of our family. Each mile brought us closer to the reality we dreaded, the finality of death, the pain of separation. We were going home to say goodbye, to bid farewell to the man who had shaped our lives and guided our paths, to stand with our people, to find strength in their presence, to draw comfort from their shared grief, and to navigate the ancient dance of a village funeral, to honor the traditions of our ancestors, and to find solace in the rituals that have sustained our community for generations. Before we arrived back at the compound, a profound transformation had already begun to take place. The kinsmen, alerted to the grave news, had already gathered at my father's compound. They came from near and far, setting aside their own lives to be with us in our time of need. The Umuna, our extended family, a network woven through generations, are the first responders, the immediate support system in times of sorrow. Their arrival was not just a formality, it was a deeply ingrained cultural response to loss. They came bearing palm wine, a traditional offering that symbolizes respect and communal bonding. Kola nuts, symbols of hospitality and connection, and yams, the staple food representing sustenance and life, tokens of respect, empathy, and solidarity. These weren't mere gifts, they were tangible expressions of love and support, carefully chosen to provide comfort during a dark time. Their presence said, without the need for words, "You are not alone in this grief. We are here to share your burden." The elders, the custodians of our traditions and wisdom, sat in a solemn circle, their faces etched with concern. They began the delicate process of discussing funeral arrangements, assigning responsibilities, and ensuring that every detail honored my father's memory. My father's eldest brother, now the family head, a man of immense stature and quiet strength, listened intently to every voice, carefully weighing each suggestion, ensuring unity and consensus in every decision. His leadership was a beacon of stability in the midst of chaos. The women, the heart of our family, led by my mother, a woman of unwavering resilience, took charge of the home, transforming it into a sanctuary of support and care. Cooking nourishing meals, cleaning the compound to receive the expected influx of visitors, and receiving the endless stream of sympathizers who came to pay their respects. Their tireless work was a silent language of support, a powerful demonstration of love and dedication, giving us the space, both physical and emotional, to grieve without the added burden of practical concerns. The compound, usually a place of everyday life, transformed into a place ready to receive hundreds of mourners, a testament to the vast network of people my father had touched during his life. This gathering, this outpouring of support, set the rhythm of communal care that would sustain us in the days and weeks to come. In our culture, grief is not a solitary experience, it is shared, openly and without shame. The burden of sorrow is distributed among many shoulders, making it lighter and more bearable. The arrival of the kinsman was the first stitch in mending our family's fabric, torn by loss. It was a quiet yet powerful assurance that we would endure this profound loss together, drawing strength from our shared heritage and unwavering bonds. The long and arduous process of healing had begun, not in isolation, but within the embrace of our community, rooted in the ancient traditions of togetherness, resilience, and unwavering faith. As our car turned onto the red earth road, the landscape shifted, mirroring the change within me. The familiar ochre tones of the soil seemed to deepen, reflecting the gravity of the occasion. Childhood memories, once vibrant and carefree, now surfaced, tinged with a profound sorrow. The images of laughter and play were now interwoven with the stark reality of loss. Each familiar landmark brought a fresh wave of grief. As we approached my father's compound, it transformed into a sea of mourners, a vast expanse of black and white stretching as far as the eye could see. Black, the color of mourning, representing the deep void left by my father's passing, a symbol of the profound loss felt by all who gathered. White, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness, signifying the belief in a peaceful afterlife and the promise of eventual healing. The stark contrast of the attire unified everyone present, a visual representation of their shared grief and collective hope. It dissolved individual identities, blurring the lines between family, friends, and neighbors, forging them into a collective body of grief, bound together by a common sorrow. The sheer number of people was overwhelming, a testament to the impact my father had on the community, a life that touched so many. Yet, amidst the sadness, there was a sense of comfort, a feeling of being surrounded by love and support. As we stepped out of the car, the reality of the situation washed over us. A wave of wailing greeted us, a chorus of grief that echoed through the compound. It was a raw, communal release of pain, a visceral expression of sorrow that transcended words. Aunts and cousins rushed to embrace us, their arms offering solace and support. Their cries mingled with ours, creating a symphony of sorrow that resonated deep within our souls. This outpouring shattered the silence of personal grief, breaking down the walls of individual suffering. It made space for communal healing, allowing the shared burden of grief to be carried together. Every few steps, someone offered a hand, a gesture of comfort and solidarity, a word of condolence, ndonu, a phrase that echoed the shared sentiment of sorrow and support. The crowd was not an obstacle to navigate, a barrier to overcome, but a support system, a network of individuals offering strength and compassion. Each person was a pillar, holding us up, preventing us from collapsing under the weight of our grief, reminding us we were home, surrounded by the love and support of our community. In this place, grief was not a solitary burden, but a path we would all walk together, united in our sorrow and strengthened by our shared humanity. At the heart of the funeral were ancient rites guiding my father's spirit to the ancestors. A Christian pastor led prayers and hymns, offering comfort and hope. Elders performed traditional rituals, pouring libations, speaking to my father's spirit, calling on the ancestors. The Umuwada, married daughters of the kinsman, sang and ensured customs were followed. Their presence symbolized the continuity of family and tradition. These interwoven rites, Christian and traditional, created a layered spiritual experience. For us, participating in these rituals was our last act of service to our Father. The prayers, libations, and songs bridged the chasm of loss. Through ritual, we began the slow work of healing. Music became the rhythm of our grief. The air was filled with hymns and traditional dirges, each song a vessel for sorrow and remembrance. Church choirs and singing groups led us through waves of sadness and hope. Dirges, sung in Igbo, told stories of ancestors and loss, connecting us to our roots. Singers moved through the crowd, weaving my father's story into the community's tapestry. Storytelling took on a musical quality. Anecdotes, laughter, and tributes kept his memory alive. This oral tradition celebrated his life, not just his death. The constant flow of song and story allowed us to express the full spectrum of grief. Music held us together, transforming pain into sound and shared healing. Even in sorrow we were not silent, and we were not alone. In our village, no one mourns on an empty stomach. Hospitality is sacred and food is central to the funeral. From the first arrivals, kitchens bustled, huge pots over open fires, women working in teams. The menu was abundant: pounded yam, egusi soup, jollof rice, goat meat pepper soup. Cooking and serving was an act of love, ensuring the bereaved were cared for. The feast brought people together, breaking down barriers and fostering solidarity. Around the shared meal, the atmosphere lightened, memories and laughter returned. The feast reaffirmed community bonds and honored the deceased by celebrating life. Families contributed food, easing the burden on the bereaved. The shared table symbolized collective strength by sharing resources in grief we endured. In feeding each other, we found comfort and connection. After the burial, the crowds thinned, leaving close family and friends in quiet reflection. Under the mango tree, stories of my father came alive. Each tale, of childhood mischief, marriage, friendship, wove a tapestry of his life. We learned new facets of him, not just as a father but as a man of the community. These stories filled gaps, giving us a fuller picture. Listening, we felt his presence not as a ghost, but as a living legacy. Collective remembrance became our most important healing. In our culture, a person lives as long as their name is spoken. The mango tree became a living monument, sheltering us as we pieced together his enduring story. The burial was the emotional apex, a final act of letting go. The casket, simple and wooden, was brought to the center of the compound, a last prayer, a final hymn, and then the slow procession to the gravesite. Sons and nephews carried the casket, the village following in a river of black and white. A single drum beat marked each step, a mournful heartbeat. At the graveside, we each tossed soil onto the casket, the sound echoing our goodbye. Tears flowed freely, our grief was raw and exposed. Yet, the community stood with us, offering comfort and presence. The burial was immense sadness but also communal love. Together we returned him to the earth, surrounded by those who would remember. In the weeks after, a new quiet settled over the compound. Life's rhythm slowly returned, but everything had changed. The true power of family and community became clear. Support did not end with the funeral. My mother was never alone. Friends and relatives rotated, offering company and care. My uncles checked on us, guiding us through new responsibilities. The community wrapped around us, giving space to heal. We, the children, found new strength in each other, our bond deepened by loss. The family my parents built was his greatest monument. The rituals, songs, and stories were all part of communal healing. In the embrace of family and village, we found hope to face the dawn after the dusk.